most people, if you think about it, what they're always after is what's in it for me? What's in it for me? When you have that mindset, you're not going to have a lot of success because everyone's thinking that way. What's in it for me? But if you come to a relationship, a conversation with how you can serve that person or just be genuinely interested in that person, they're going to open up to you. They're going to tell you what they need, what they want, because people like to talk about themselves. People like to
Right.
have things that are for them. So when you're looking to find success, always frame it with how you can help someone else. The most successful people in the world are the people that figure out how to help people at scale. The more people you help, the more money you make. The more hands you shake, the more money you make.
Hey guys, welcome to Millionaire Brand Creation. I'm your host, Michael Banovac, and I'm super excited to have a friend of mine on, Devin Burr. You probably know him as Mr. Burr himself on Instagram and all the media platforms, from Bankrupt, Chapter 7 at 31, now multi-millionaire by 36. His journey has been very interesting and, more importantly, probably similar to a lot of people trying to figure out how the hell do you become financially independent. So without further ado, Devin, how are you, buddy?
Man, I am blessed. Thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure to it's always a pleasure to chat with a fellow watch lover.
Or
You know what
watch
I mean?
addict.
Yes, dude. It is the addiction is real.
Yeah.
So I just love them. But it's a pleasure being on, man. Hopefully I can definitely give a ton of value for the people and just have them learn from my mistakes, learn from what I did to get to where I'm at, and I'm excited to pour into your folks.
Yeah. So, we met actually at the Global Ambassador about a week ago, and we had great conversation amongst many young, successful entrepreneurs. And your story struck a chord with me because obviously we're in the real estate space. And so, if you could take us back to that time when you were broke, destitute, and had nothing, and what gave you the fervor to keep going and be successful?
I had jumped job to job in my 20s. I probably had, this is no joke, probably 50 jobs.
Wow.
And just like most people in their 20s, they're searching for who they are. I was lost as a person. I was chasing tail. That was all I was, that's all I cared about, you know. So I had a daughter when I was 22. I kind of stumbled through life and took care of her when I had her. And then at 31, her mother and I had split up. We were divorced and she moved. I was a full-time father, 31 years
Wow.
old. She was 9 years old, my daughter. And I was struggling a lot at that point in my life. And I shielded all that from her because I didn't want her to feel that I didn't want her to have the life I had. I grew up in a broke family. I didn't want her to feel that. And my parents would always fight. And I didn't want her to have that kind of life. So I shielded her from all of the struggles I had. Chapter 7 bankruptcy, I had $300 to my name, no
Wow.
savings, nothing in the checking. We lived in a one-bedroom apartment, my daughter and I couldn't afford the rent. So I had to move out of that apartment, move us in with a friend of mine into a bedroom in his house. I think it was $400 a month is what he was charging me. I couldn't even afford that. So I had to sell most of my belongings. I sold my bed. We just had a mattress on the ground.
Mm.
And I'm just dead broke, bankrupt, have no money. I'm living paycheck to paycheck, maxing out my credit cards. Most people can relate. When it rains, it pours. I thought I was at rock bottom and I got my heart broken by the woman I thought that was the one.
Mm. I know
So
that feeling.
I couldn't hold back like anything anymore. I busted out, bawling my eyes out to my 9 year old daughter,
Mm.
just crying my eyes out because I was in so much pain and I thought I failed at everything. I had thoughts of suicide
Mm.
because the pain was so bad. I was like, if I just end my life, this will all go away. And I asked this little girl while I'm just sobbing, I'm like, am I a good dad?
Mm.
And this little girl saved my life because if she would have said anything besides what she said, I probably would have taken my life.
Mm.
She lifts my chin up and she says, you are the best daddy.
Oh, wow. Gives me chills
Dude,
just listening to it.
at 31 years old, I was not the best daddy. I was not the best human being. She thought I was.
Mm.
She thought I was super dad.
You were
I
a hero.
realized at that point, at 31 years old, I need to be the person she thinks I am.
Mm.
I need to work on me. So I started reading books. I had never read a book up until that point in my life. I started reading book after book. I started listening to podcasts. I started watching motivational videos on YouTube when I would work out. Within 1 month, so that was when I broke down to her, that was October of 2016. Within 1 month of that happening, I met my now wife.
Wow.
Dude, we've been married now for 5 years. And I know because I tattooed it on my wrist. For your listeners, any guys out there, it is the move because it saved me a couple years ago. I hadn't got her gift. Day before, saw it on my wrist. I was like, oh crap. So it's the move, man. But yeah, we've been married for 5 years now. We met at work and I started doing better at work. I started working on myself. I started saving money. And 2019, I realized like I'm still broke. Like job stands for just above broke. And I was making 200 grand a year, but after taxes, after maxing out my 401k, after bills, I didn't have really much left over. And they controlled everything, lead flow, pay scales. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I need to bet on me and become an entrepreneur. So I've always seen like Flip or Flop and like
Oh yeah.
the TV
Tarek.
shows. So I'm
Yep.
like, it looks sexy. Like I can do that. My wife was doing pretty well at work. So we realized that like her income could keep us afloat. Take a leap, grow my wings on the way down. October 8th of 2019, I walked in and quit my job at Quicken Loans. I got my first wholesale deal January 13th of 2020. And from January until March, I did 8 deals, some flips, some wholesales, zero marketing, just going to meetups and
Wow.
networking with people and doing JV deals.
So how did you get your traction, right? Everyone that's listening is either, hitting the reset button or learning to excel their business, right? How did you make your first 100 grand? And then once you got to that point, what did you do to accelerate?
Great question. So what I did is I leaned into what I feel like my superpower is. Everyone has one. My superpower, I realize, is I'm a very social person.
Mm.
Once I get out of my shell, I'm kind of shy by nature, but once I'm out of my shell, I'm a social butterfly. I leaned into that and I started going to local meetups and just being me, being the social person I am, being likable, making friends. And what happened was I was surrounding myself with successful people. And you're a product of your environment. If you hang around with
100%.
five successful people, you're going to become the sixth. I started hanging around with these investors, some of them making 5, 6, 7 million dollars a year, and I'm hanging out with them. I was making 200 grand a year. I'm making nothing now as an investor. I started leveling up. I started, doing things they were doing, believing in things they were doing, looking at deals they were looking at. It just started happening from there. The biggest advice I could ever give anyone is get around people that are moving and shaking because they will naturally bring you to another level.
High tide rises all ships and vice versa, right? It's the same game. You are the accumulation of the five people you hang out the most with.
Yeah. So don't hang out with people that whine and complain about things because you will start whining and complaining about things. We have a choice of who we hang out with.
Yeah.
Like if you hit me up and you're like, hey, Dev, let's go grab a drink. If the last time I hung out with you, you're just complaining and bitching and moaning, I'm going to be like, sorry, bro, I got something else going on.
Yeah.
You have a choice of that. So the fact of the matter is everyone has that choice and you choose who you associate with. Who you associate with is going to really dictate your life.
Okay, so let's say you're a real estate agent right now and you're dealing with obviously very high interest rate, 10-year treasuries at 4.6, 4.7, market soft, whatever. How do you make money now? Like, what would you do if they took all your money away, but you have all your skills that you have and your connections? What would you do now to make a buck?
In your phone, go ahead and look how many contacts you have. That's like your sphere of influence. Those are people that know you. Hopefully they trust you. Let's see. In my phone contacts, I have 1,138 people. I would just start hitting those contacts, man. Because if you hit those people up and just say, hey, are you looking to sell your house? Are you looking to buy a new house? How can I serve you? The the biggest thing that I have found that creates success, always looking to serve somebody. Most people, if you think about it, what they're always after is what's in it for me? What's in it for me? And when you have that mindset, you're not going to have a lot of success because everyone's thinking that way. What's in it for me? But if you come to a relationship, a conversation with how you can serve that person or just be genuinely interested in that person, they're going to open up to you. They're going to tell you what they need, what they want, because people like to talk about themselves. People like to have things that are for them. So when you're looking to find success, always frame it with, how you can help someone else. The most successful people in the world are the people that figure out how to help people at scale.
Yeah.
More people you help, the more money you make. The more hands you shake, the more money you make.
And it's also important too to have a plan, have a goal. So many people, it's funny. I always say the first two things I say is, how many of you know your net worth or track it? No one raises their hand. How many of you track cash flows? No one raises their hand. How many of you actually have like a budget, or they don't even know what a cash flow statement or an income statement looks like? And my theory is, if you can't track it, how can you stack it? If you don't know it, how are you going to grow it? And these people are just living off whimsy and they don't have a plan. How important it is to implement a plan in your life to create success?
Dude, it's so important. I write down my goals every single day
Yeah.
in the notes app on my phone. I write them down every day as if I've already achieved them. I don't write, I
Mm,
want this, I want that. I say, I am this, I am that, I have this, I own that, I make this. I write them as if they've already been achieved. And one thing that really has helped me grow a ton is what you just said, tracking things. I can tell
yes.
you right now, almost down to the penny, what my net worth is, what
Me
my
too.
cash flow is,
Yep.
what my balance statement is. Because the fact of the matter is, if you don't track it, you can't stack it.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't
And
know it, you can't grow it.
right, man. And here's the way most people look at it. They look at it like money is a taboo. They don't want to
Right.
talk about it. It's like, I don't want to mention this to my family, but the fact of the matter is it's important. You need money to survive. You need money to eat. You need money for shelter. It is an important thing. You should be talking about it often. Also, you should be studying it. What you study, you get good at. If you've never read a financial book, you're not going to know much about finances. I read all the freaking time now about finances, about tax loopholes, about foundations, about trusts. I have so much knowledge now. And then once you have the knowledge, you just got to implement it. So many
Yeah.
people will learn, but then they
No
don't take
action.
any action. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. There's two things I think that resonated with what you said. One is money's like oxygen. You have too much of it, you become lazy, right? If you don't have enough
Mm.
of it, you die. And if you have just the right amount, you're allocating it to the body or to your resources of where it needs to go. The second thing, actually, that a billionaire told me, which I thought was really good, is he says, think of your life like the lawn in your front yard. The moment you mow it, it's perfect, right? It's totally dialed in. It's beautiful. But the next day it starts looking like shit. And that's life, right? You have to mow it every single day in order for it to be successful and to like look the way you want to look. So it's due every day. Whatever you're trying to achieve, right? Rent is due every single day, right? You don't earn it, you have to maintain it. And that's what I always tell people. It's like it's not that hard to get rich. It's very hard to stay rich. Can you touch upon that a little bit?
100%. One thing I would recommend for people to do this, I do all the time. Short pen is better than a long memory. Okay.
I like
Remember that,
that.
guys. A short pen or short pencil is better than a long memory. What you just said, I wrote down because I want to remember that.
I got
Life is
my
like a
notes too.
lawn, you know? A lot of
Yep.
people don't do that. Like they go to seminars and they don't got a freaking notepad. Like life is like a front yard. You mow it, it's amazing. The next day, you got to do it again with oxygen. Yeah, that's what I have. So it's like oxygen. Too much money, you get lazy. Not enough, you die. I love that. I've never heard that. So I wrote it down. So, guys, always make sure to write things down. And then what I would touch on with so true is becoming rich is difficult. Becoming wealthy is keeping it. That's even harder. Actually, I'll tell you that back. Becoming rich nowadays, I think, is probably pretty easy.
That's what I was
It
saying. It's
really
easy to
is.
get rich. It's hard to stay rich. Yeah.
You're allocating your time to the wrong things. You can do two things with your time. You can entertain yourself.
Mm,
So you could play video games, you could watch Netflix, you could go, I don't know, play basketball. That's actually good for you, but you know what I mean? Or you can educate yourself. That's the only two things you can do with your time. Most people spend time entertaining themselves. They don't spend time educating themselves. The more you educate yourself, the more knowledge you have, as long as you take action, you're going to see results. You're going to become rich. Becoming wealthy is a different story. You have to learn how to get rid of eroding factors.
mm.
What erodes wealth more than anything on the planet? I know you know this.
Fixed expense.
The IRS, taxes.
Ooh, I like that. That's a good one. Yep. Hmm.
So if
Hmm.
you can figure out how to pay less taxes legally,
Yeah.
the tax code is mostly loopholes.
Mhm.
It's how to pay less taxes. So if you know the tax code, again, educate yourself and then take action, use that education, you're lowering your tax bill,
Yeah.
you're keeping more of your wealth. If you have $100,000, and here's a hack for everybody, you can you can create a private family foundation that you control. It's your foundation. Since it's your private foundation, you can donate up to 30% of your income to the foundation. Now you don't pay taxes on that money. Think about this.
Mm.
If you make $100,000 a year, you can donate 30 grand. That 30 grand is not taxable. It's in your foundation. Now your foundation controls it. You can go invest it. There's no taxation on foundations. They're exempt from taxes if set up properly. Now you're only getting taxed on 70, so you're in a
Yep.
different tax bracket. You're paying less taxes. That 30,000 bucks now can go make you more money. That money tax free. Now you can start growing wealth because you've learned how to get rid of eroding factors.
Love
Another
that.
one is getting rid of interest to other people. Every single person out there, when they buy a car, they generally go finance it from a bank or they lease it, losing money for the rest of their lives by paying interest to the bank. If you can learn how to become the bank, you're no longer losing interest. You are the bank in your own life. I teach people how to do that. Becoming wealthy, it is difficult. The biggest proof that it's possible is other people have done it. You
Yeah.
just have to study it and take action.
Yeah, let me ask you a question about the Mr. Burr method. So obviously Burr is huge in the rental process, and everyone says like, what are the pillars that make the most money? And I would almost say the three sectors that I somewhat understand that I have seen made the most money over a long period of time. Number one is real estate. Number
Mm-hmm.
two is finance, because obviously the movement of money creates and generates a lot of money, financial services. And number three is healthcare because of all the baby boomers and all these people getting sick because of our society in general. Obviously, AI and tech have been hot, but who knows where they'll be in 100 years or whatever. But can you describe real estate in particular? Like, for instance, I'll give you my portfolio. So I own 5 houses personally, of which I have a lot of equity in them. If I have fixed debt, let's say on 30-year fixed loans, let's say 4%, but I have a lot of equity in there, how would you utilize the Burr method in today's environment with 7, 8% rates? Should you? And take that money out and put it to better use as opposed to having it in a dead asset?
Oh, such a good question, man, because that's one of the things I did to become wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
Is I used dead money, lazy money. Your house, the equity in it, it's lazy money. If you view it as like you walk into your house and money's just sitting there on your couch eating potato chips, it's
Yeah.
lazy. It's not doing anything. It's costing you money because you're not out there making it appreciate. I started leveraging the equity by taking equity lines of credit and taking that money and making an arbitrage on money. So if I borrow at 7, as long as I can go make more than a 7% cash on cash return, it makes sense. So that's all I started doing is I started using
Mm.
borrowed money, leverage to go make more. And then I figured out you can tap into a freaking cheat code that the wealthiest families have been using for going on over 200 years, actually. It's tapping into an asset that is ever appreciating. So think of real estate. Real estate over time, it appreciates, right?
Yep.
But what happens to real estate in some markets? It goes down, but then it goes back up, goes down. Eventually, it always kind of goes up.
Goes up.
This asset that I'm talking about, it never goes down. It's guaranteed to do one thing, and that's just go up. So that's the first thing. It's always going up. So you can always leverage more borrowed money, right?
Whole life policy.
Boom. Whole life insurance. I don't mention whole life because as soon as I say that, people are like, it's a scam. It's been around for several hundred years. The wealthiest families, the Rockefellers, the Vanderbilts, JP Morgan, I mean, you name it, they all use it. I started using that. I started putting all my capital into whole life policies. I've got 14 of them now.
Wow.
That money is guaranteed to keep going up. And then I just borrow against it. It's 5%. So I'm borrowing at 5 as long as I can make more than 5, which is lower than where rates are right now.
Yeah.
I can go do my Burr deals. I can go do private lending and I can make more money, that arbitrage. And here's the beauty. It's a non-structured loan. If I borrow from my house, there's a structured loan. I have to make a payment with interest or they take the house.
Right.
With whole life insurance, you're borrowing from your future death benefit. They know you're going to die. They just don't know when.
Right.
So if you never pay it back, which you never have to, they'll just lower your death benefit when you die.
Interesting.
So
but you got to make that payment. You got to make that payment every month to the insurance claim or the policy, right?
No, because you can set it up where it's annual. I just dump money in annually and then I'm done. I just use the policy for the whole year and then it's made me a bunch of money so that at the anniversary date the next year, I take a portion of what it's made me, put more premiums in. Now the cash value grows even more. Perfect example. My second policy, I just funded it last month. $39,000 went in. This was the fourth year. I put in 39. The cash value grew by 87. So think about that.
That's crazy. Yeah.
I put in 39. I can access 87. Now I take the 87. I go make more money with it. And that's only the fourth year. So shoot, 15, 20 years. I put in 39. It'll grow by like 400.
Yeah, that is interesting. I got a couple questions for you, Devin. So the first question I have is, who was your biggest mentor? What did they teach you? And why was it so impactful in your life?
This will be good. This ties right into the Burr Method. My mentor when I got into real estate, his name is Templeton Walker. A great friend of mine.
I know Templeton.
You know Temp?
Yeah.
He's a freaking riot. Him and I worked at Quicken Loans back in the day. I was actually like his supervisor. He left and he became a realtor and then started flipping homes. And I saw in 2019, he was doing these flips and I was like, man, I want to do that. Like I was telling you guys, if I hit him up and I'm like, hey, Temp, like, how much would it cost for me to ride along with you for a day to learn what you do? And he's like, dude, you're my homie. You don't got to pay me anything. I'm like, dope. So I did a ride along, learned what he did. That's when I quit Quicken because I was like, I can do what he's doing. It's not hard. It is. It's not easy, but
it's not easy.
But yeah, so what happened was in March of 2020, like I told you guys, I did 8 real estate deals, 0 marketing. I was just doing really well. And him and I were walking a property. He told me, he's like, dude, you've done so well, like kind of riding my wave, but I'm holding you back. I know there's something about you that can like set you apart and you can create your own wave. Like figure out what it is and lean into it. My last name is Burr, B-U-R-R. And I'm thinking, I know there's this method, the Burr Method. How about I be that guy, Mr. Burr? So him and I made like a spoof music video. It's freaking ridiculous. It's to the old Chingy song, Right There. And we're rapping. We got like fake grills and chains. It's stupid. But I became Mr. Burr and he taught me a really unique way of doing that method. Most people know it's buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat. Problem with that is when you refinance, it's kind of a crapshoot on the appraisal.
Rate and turn too, yeah.
Yeah, and it's also a cash out refinance, so the interest rate's higher.
Yep.
You also have seasoning, so a lot of times you can't get it unless you've had the current loan for I think it's 6 months. So like let's say you're done in 2 months and you've got heavy hard money costs. You don't want to sit on that hard money for 4 months. You want to get out of that thing quick.
Yeah.
So he taught me a really unique way of doing it, which is you buy the property, you renovate the property, you rent it, and instead of refinancing it, you purchase it.
Interesting.
Here's why. On a purchase, the appraised value kind of leans towards whatever the purchase price is, because what something is worth is what someone's willing to pay to an extent. Right. So you can kind of dictate where you need the price to be in order to get all your money back out. The way Temp and I were doing it is his LLC would buy it. Okay. And then he'd sell it to my wife.
Interesting.
Right? Because she's W-2. Very bankable, great credit. He taught me to do it that way. So then I'm like, well, how can I do it on my own? And I started thinking, I just need an LLC that she's not on.
Oh, shit. That's classic. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So LLC, it's my sole LLC. Yeah. Sells it to her as the end buyer. We now can dictate the end price. There's no seasoning. No. It's a purchase, not a cash out refi. Yeah. So the rates are better. And here's the beauty. Since she's purchasing it, she brings the down payment. The down payment goes to the lender. Now we've created 20% equity and all the proceeds come to me. I just pay her back the down payment. I just got to bake that into the numbers of where it needs to sell at.
That's interesting.
Dude, he taught me that and I'm like, bro, that's a freaking game changer. So
It's an
we've
interesting
done
one.
all of our burrs that way, and we're doing that right now on a 22 unit out in Birmingham, Alabama.
How do you get her to qualify? Let's say, she has all these different assets. How do you get her to qualify every time? You give her an elevated 1099 with her W-2, or how does that work?
So the way she qualifies is she freaking crushes it. Like in
Yeah.
2020, she made 720 grand.
Wow. It's a big hitter.
So
Stay married to that
she
girl.
does. Yeah, dude. She crushes, man. She's one of the top loan officers in the entire company. And plus, we just don't have a lot of expenses because I could get into all these little hacks that we have with our trusts, owning our house. So the mortgage payment isn't coming off of her personal liabilities. It's paid by the trust. Like when you look at her credit, there's really not much
On it.
with her
Yeah.
debt to income, except for the houses. But
Right.
then what we do is you can get up to 10 properties under your personal name.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get to 10, you just bundle them up into a portfolio loan. And now
Yep.
you rinse and repeat. Now she can get 10 more.
Love that. Love
So
that.
it's been a perfect thing because without her, I wouldn't be able to do it. So
Mm-hmm.
she deserves a lot of credit.
That's for sure. I was smart. Yeah, as a single guy, you couldn't pull that off.
You just have to find a bankable partner.
Yeah. One that you trust a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%.
So here's another question for you, because we're going to wrap up in about 5 minutes. Is there a quote or something that resonates with you that you could share with the audience, and also a book that you read that changed your life?
Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill.
Mm-hmm. He's got a lot of good ones. Yeah.
Oh, dude, Outwitting the Devil. And if you guys want to check that book out, I would recommend listening to it on Audible because it's an interview style where he's interviewing the devil. So like the voice changes back and forth, and it's like the devil's voice. He's like all demonic, and it's freaking crazy. It's really engaging. And that book, though, it just really makes you realize a lot of times when you're going through a season in your life, everyone has them. When you're down, you're up. When you're going through a season, it's usually because you're drifting through life. It's a term that they use in that book is drifting.
Mm-hmm.
And drifting means that you're really just, you're not being intentional with your actions. You're getting up and kind of just going through the motions. You're not doing things that are going to get you success. Reading, writing down goals, getting around successful people, filling your mind with good, positive thoughts. So that book, I've revisited it several times just because when I feel like I'm going through one of those seasons and I'm drifting through life, I go to that book and I revisit it, and it puts me right back on point. So that'd be the biggest book I would say. He who says he can and he who says he can't is often correct.
And Henry Ford said something to that effect too. Yeah, whether you
Yeah.
can or you can't, you're correct, right? That's the
That's who it is.
concept of
It's
that.
Henry
Yeah,
Ford.
yeah.
That's who it is. But
Yeah.
dude, it's so freaking
So
true
true.
because
Yeah.
I doubt myself and I'm like, I don't think I can do that. And guess what? I'm right. I end up not
Yeah.
doing it.
Right.
But then there's also times where I'm like, I'm full bent on, dude, I can do this. I deserve this. That's another thing
Yes.
is knowing that you deserve things, knowing that you're
Yes.
worthy of it.
Yeah.
If you don't believe within your soul that you're worthy of a certain dollar amount for income, a certain car, a certain woman, a certain relationship, you're not going to get it. But the second you believe, I deserve to have this,
That's right.
your actions start to mirror the way your inner beliefs think. And then you start actually getting the things that you feel like you deserve. So you are correct. You believe that it's true, you get it. You believe it's not true, you're not going to get it.
So I wrote a book in 2017. This was my quote. A mentor of mine once told me, "You're never the best version of yourself you want to be. Rather, you are the lowest version of yourself you're willing to accept. What will you accept in your life?" Think of that one.
Mm,
And so many people
mm.
accept way too less. That's the problem. They accept way far less than they're able to achieve.
Man, that reminds me of Tony Robbins always says that your life is based on your expectations, like what you expect, not like what you want, what you expect, like what you have to have.
Correct.
So it kind of that kind of leans into that is like whatever you expect to have, whatever you feel like you deserve, you'll get.
Yeah.
But what is that? Like
Yeah.
at this point, I don't believe right now that I could be a billionaire. That's just so far fetched for me right now. Maybe in 10 years, but like right now, it's so far fetched. So I won't get there right now. It's why I'm not sitting there right now. I'm not a billionaire.
Yeah.
You
But
know?
you will. And if
I
you don't
will.
believe it, you never will.
I think I will in like 10 years.
Yeah.
I'm 39. So I think before I'm 50, I could be a billionaire.
Love that. You will be.
But
How about that? I will statement.
boom. Hey, hold me to that, bro.
Yeah.
In 10
Yeah.
years, be like, bro, what's the net worth?
Yeah.
And I'm
I
gonna
love
hit you
that.
with like, 1.8 billion, baby.
So where can they, before we end, like give me a 30-second synopsis of what we learned today and what people can take away from this conversation.
Lean into you. Figure out what you're really good at, lean into it, become an expert at you. There's
Love that.
something about you that sets you apart. So many people try to be other people. They try to impress other people by being like them. You'll never be as good as them because you're not them.
Be more like
Be
you. I love that.
you.
Yeah, I love that.
Be the best version of you, and that will take you to new heights. And just always try to pay it forward. Always think about, how can I help more people? The second I started thinking, how can I help more people, that's when my income and my net worth blew up.
Love that. Where can they follow you, Devin? Where can they get to know you better? Where can they learn more about Mr. Burr?
So I've got a lot of long form content on YouTube. It's Mr. _Burr, B with 4 R's, just like you see there. And then also Instagram, TikTok, Mr. _Burr. I got a lot of short form content on there. Shoot me DMs. I actually answer to them. I'm not too big for my own britches where I have
Love
someone
it.
else do it. I'll answer people.
Love it. Hey, man, thanks so much for taking the time. Let's get a drink here soon, okay?
Dude, don't threaten me with a good time.
All right. We'll see you. Thanks, Devin. Take care.
All right, brother.
Bye.